It's already getting cold in the Northeast and we're trying to make our way south, but we have a major stop along the way on the Chesapeake Bay where LaurieSue will finally get her remaining warranty work attended to. Right now we're on Nantucket, Massachusetts, which is a small island in New England, and before we can set sail we have to wait out the first nor'easter of the season. We're making some fender boards because we're about to get like I don't know what it is. Is it a nor'easter?
Yeah.
And we're supposed to get like steady 40 knot winds coming up for the next couple days starting tomorrow.
For like gusting into the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, gusting hot, way higher. So we're making some fender boards so that these can, I'll explain how they work when we have them set up. It's just going to be way better than not having them. Alright guys, the storm's here, the fender boards are in place, and as you can see here, it's basically just a board that is able to span the vertical pilings so that we don't have to like try to line up the fenders on the vertical pilings because they're just going to slip off so easy. So this board spans across the multiple vertical pilings and then spreads that load onto the fenders which are on the boat. And we're seeing 35 to 40 knot winds pretty consistently, just adjusting lines and monitoring everything. And we're in the Nantucket boat basin, which is a big marina in Nantucket, and even though they have like a breakwater out front, the wind is coming straight down the harbor and it's still building up quite a bit of chop in the boat basin. So it was pretty uncomfortable to be on the boat, even though it was in the marina all tied up during this storm. But at the end of the day, everything worked out fine. The boat was safe and all the lines held, the fender boards worked perfectly. You can see this was the first part of the storm and the wind was blowing us just ever so slightly off the dock, so we didn't really even need the fender boards. But the following morning the wind was definitely blowing us like right on the bow, and we were definitely touching the dock. So the second day we definitely did need the fender boards, but in the end it all worked out perfect. And after this blow passed by, we actually had a calm day and we used it to sail to Block Island. Alright my friends, I'm going to show you a little boat work we're doing right now. Boat work never ends. And today we're trying to fix our VHF. So I already have it apart, but I'll show you what we have. So this is what this is. This is our wireless unit. This is our wired unit that I'm trying to fix. And it's a Vesper Cortex VHF AIS device. And it's owned by Garmin now, the company. And it's worked really well. We've had it for 2.5 years since the beginning of this boat. We've had it on another boat and it's worked well. The AIS is great. The VHF works well. But we just had an issue we identified a few days ago where the push button stopped working on this wire device. We kept the VHF on and we had heard complaints from other boats that there was like some noise. Someone was saying, hey, do a radio check, and I think that was us, and that's not good. We're taking up the VHF airwaves of the people around us because our push button is pressed in and won't come back out. So not only that, but we also can't use it. And I've messed around with it and just, yeah, stuck in position. And this is a safety device, so we have backup. So these two devices connect to the same hub, so we can just use our wireless one and it still works, and that's fine. We just keep the wired one off. And then we also have a backup handheld VHF, and that's all good. It's one of the reasons, like, yeah, you should always have backups and redundancy in this kind of thing, like this critical safety gear. I just called Garmin to see what our options were, and they only have a 2-year warranty on this. So the options were you could buy a new handheld wired unit, which is like $600 something, or they'll exchange it for you, but since it's out of warranty, it's $330 for an exchange of this unit. So that's kind of crazy to me. $330 for such a simple little thing that broke, and 2 years 2 years kind of sounds like a long time, but like on a boat, I don't know. For this kind of piece of equipment, I feel like it should be reliable for a lot longer than that. Like, I shouldn't have to pay $330 just after 2 years for a replacement of something like this. And we're out in New England in the late fall, and it's cold, and we have to go offshore. We're going offshore tomorrow. So we need it to work. Not necessarily this unit, because, again, we have backups, and that's fine, and that's what we'll use. That's what we've been using. I just figured I'd take it apart and see if I can fix it anyway. So that's what I'm trying to do. Worst case scenario, we just buy the exchanged unit, or I'll reach out to Seawind. And Seawind honestly has been good about this type of stuff, like kind of getting this type of stuff resolved, and some of it even being out of warranty. So I haven't reached out to them. Maybe if I have to exchange it, I'll reach out to them first and see if they can help facilitate it, and maybe not, so that we don't get charged $330. But I'm taking this thing apart, and first off, it's not straightforward. Like, there's no directions in how to take it apart. You have to like pry this little plastic piece off, and then there's like 20 of these little, I forget what you call them. They're like little star bit screws. So luckily I had that on the boat, and I have this little set of stars. It's all rusty. So I took all those out, and then I had to pry this other piece off, and now I can see what we have going on. Let me see if I can show you. Alright, so this is the button. When I push the push button, it pushes this thing in, and it's not really coming back out. And I can see it's because this whole housing here is like loose. I don't know if that's because a solder broke or something, but if I hold this housing down and I push it in, it clicks. I can feel it click. It clicks and out. Yep, and I can feel that very distinct click, as you would expect. I can even hear it. So, this housing, it's just like a metal cover on here. Alright guys, this whole cover popped off now. And you can tell, like, there's a... Well, actually, you can't tell. There's a little tiny plastic piece in this corner and in this corner. And those are broken off. And that's what was, like, securing this cover. So I think my only solution, if I'm going to do this myself, is, like, epoxy this thing down or something. Because if I can just secure that metal cover... then that'll work. I think that's what I need to do. Just epoxy both corners. But I don't know if that's gonna work. I see what happens when you push it in. There's a piece on the underside of that housing, like a little ramp, and that ramp pushes this little plastic shim. When you push it in, that ramp pushes that piece down onto this piece. And that's a button. Alright. Yeah, I think if I get some epoxy in there, that'll work. Alright, I have some thickened epoxy in there. It's 5-minute epoxy, so that should cure pretty quick. And hopefully that's the permanent solution. Alright guys, I think I fixed it. The epoxy's cured, and I can push this in, and I can feel the little click, and it pushes out itself. So I think we're good. We'll put it back together and test it. But hopefully that epoxy holds up, and yeah, I think it'll be fixed. Hopefully permanently. Radio check, LaurieSue for radio check. I think it's working. button feels like it's working. I don't know if we got a response. We're on channel 9 where...
Why don't you try 16?
Because we're not supposed to do radio checks on 16.
But we gotta know if it works.
Radio check, radio check.
Radio check, LaurieSue for radio check. Radio check, radio check.
You can hear what?
You can play back the transmissions. But I think that means we're working. I think my whole point in filming that is that we've ran into this thing multiple times where we're supposed to be, I feel like we're supposed to be a cruising boat that's self-sufficient and able to go to remote places and not have to rely on something like sending in that handheld unit and paying $330 to get a replacement for something so vital as a VHF. And I'm not bashing like that company or anything. It's just a theme with modern day equipment and boats in general, I think. So I think there's two lessons, and I guess that's the more technology you have, the more that things can go wrong. And it's okay to have that technology. It's valuable, or you may think it's valuable, or it depends on the person. But understand that the more technology, the more it could break, and just to have a backup to that technology. And then the other thing is just be self-sufficient. So I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to fix that, but at the end of the day, it's worth trying and tinkering with and trying to figure out how things work. And like, people praise me in like past videos and stuff for like, oh, you're so handy and this and that, but like, I have no special skills or anything. It's just stuff from like my childhood. If I wanted to build something or make something work, I had to figure it out. And nowadays with YouTube, I mean, not that instructional is on YouTube, but like through experience of tinkering with things and figuring out how things work and using YouTube and the internet for reference and stuff, you can like just develop a mind for how things work, and then you can do something like that. Just figure out how to take it apart. It's usually not rocket science, and then you can fix it. And at the very least, hopefully you can fix it temporarily. And at the very worst case scenario, you just can't fix it. You have something that's broken, that's still broken. So like, can't really get any worse.
I think you gotta, if something's in warranty and they saw that you open it up, they might not cover it. But we were out of warranty, so that's like that weird line of,
yeah, true.
Is it worth to open it up?
And that's the thing too, yeah. And if it's out of warranty, well then, yeah, and you can't get it repaired anyway, it's like, all right, well, yeah, you still have something broken at the end of the day, worst case scenario. But if it's in warranty, you got to make that decision, because you might be out somewhere very remote and you might really need or want that thing to work. And in that case, it might be worth kind of tinkering into and trying to get it to work, even though you might void the warranty. But yeah, and hopefully, just as a wake up to like manufacturing, I don't know. I think it's just the theme of all stuff nowadays.
Planned obsolescence?
Planned obsolescence, just built a little bit cheaper. And again, not that is built cheap, just maybe not planned for as robust as it should be, especially a component like that. And unfortunately, we see that that theme falling into boat stuff. I don't know if there's a place for that in a cruising boat that's meant to be remote. And not that we're even very remote right now, but I don't know.
We don't have an address. We don't have a car. We're on an island. We don't have to wait to ship it.
To send that back and to spend $330 for a replacement, and then we'd have to wait in a place to get the replacement. Like, it's just silly. So I don't know. Just again, like, the unit's been great. It's just it's a shame that something so silly can like make it just not work. And not only not work, but in this case, it's like it's affecting others because the button was held in, so it was like interrupting the VHF airwaves. Anyway,
I'm very proud of you for fixing it.
Another thing fixed. So if you guys are planning on going out and doing some remote cruising, just be prepared. Just don't be afraid to get in and like kind of tinker with things, and just understand the scenario, understand what is the worst case scenario if you try to get in to like fix something. But also understand the more you do that, the more you tinker, the more you fix stuff, the more you figure stuff out, the more that you'll like be able to figure more stuff out in the future because you have that background. And again, I'm no rocket science at all. Like I just figure stuff out because I have to.
You're not a rocket science, you're a boat science.
I'm a boat scientist. All right, see you guys later. All right, my friends, the engines are started and we're about to cast off and head offshore for the Chesapeake because we're finally getting these decks warrantied and some other little remaining warranty stuff, and we're really hopeful that's going to go smooth.
We had a phone call with them, well, you had a phone call with them yesterday, and everyone seemed on the same page, organized. The guy that they finally have in charge of their warranty work seems really great, so we're very, very hopeful. Time will tell, the result will tell, but he seemed, on the ball, detail-oriented, prepared. So we're heading to the Chesapeake. We have 20 knots of wind that'll be like on our beam or just behind our beam, and we'll have that all day long today and into the night, and sometime tomorrow we'll lose the wind completely. We'll motor the rest of the way into and then up the Delaware Bay, and then we'll cut across the C&D Canal and then halfway down the Chesapeake to the Potomac, and that's where all this warranty work is going to get completed.
I think it's going to be pretty rough at the beginning, and we would go straight to the Chesapeake Bay instead of up the Delaware and yada yada yada, except we only have 2 days of calm weather, and then the wind picks up to like 30 knots again with like big seas, so we're going to try to tuck in there and not have to deal with all that. So that's the plan. It's one of those things where we wish we didn't make a schedule and we would have had perfect weather and it would have been easier, but you gotta do what you gotta do because we gotta get there.
All right, we're a little bit late this morning, so we'll get the mainsail raised and we'll get out of here.
We saw someone leave already and they kind of just stopped and they looked like they were bouncing all around. I don't know where they went though.
I saw them pull out a head sail and they kind of turned downwind. All right, let's go.
Camera never does how rough it is.
We keep getting this error in our autopilot sometimes, and it's rudder not responding, and it kicks the autopilot off. And I think it's because of some deadband that we have in the steering.
It normally only happens when it's like pretty sporty.
Yeah, it happens when we're not quite balanced, and even when we are balanced, there's times where we kind of come out of balance in sporty conditions. But anyway, I think it's because we have some deadband in that steering. So I'm just trying to recalibrate the autopilot and adjust that deadband, and I did it in the harbor, but I messed up and the rudder indicator was way off, so I'm just doing it again now.
So it was like the autopilot was trying to steer and it was like going good, and then it would go like way this way and then it'd correct itself and then it'd go way that way again, and it was like so like it's telling you to turn the rudder to the center, but how are you supposed to know?
I don't know.
What are you doing up here? What are you doing up here? Are you a crazy dog? Come on, sunshine. Yay, sunshine. Does it feel sad to be right next to your homeland and not go to it?
Yeah.
The homeland of the captain. We did our spinnaker launch a lot quicker than usual, and I was like, why the heck is he going so fast? He didn't like let us set up how we normally do. That is the reason. Before our autopilot kind of messed up, we were just about to catch them, and then we had to do a bunch of circles to fix it. And now he's wanting to catch back up.
This is LaurieSue, go ahead.
Where's that catamaran just ahead of you that you're catching up to? Just want to check in and make sure everything is okay so you chase through.
Yeah, copy that. You want to try 6-8?
Yeah, 6-8.
Hey, this is LaurieSue, the catamaran in front of us. What's your guys' boat name? Osprey, yeah. Thanks for checking in. We just had to go through a little autopilot recalibration, so we had to take the sails down for a bit, but all good now. Are you guys heading to the Delaware, or?
Affirmative, yeah. We're going to go to the Delaware and hopefully up the Delaware and through the canal and then come out down to Annapolis.
Beautiful. We're on the same path. We're just entering the mouth of the Delaware Bay. We're rounding Cape May right behind us. Spot we've been to quite a few times, and we have the current with us, ripping us up into the Delaware Bay. So we're gonna ride the current another 45 miles up to the top of the bay. Hopefully we get there not too late. And if we have the current with us, we might even continue on through the C&D Canal, at least halfway to Chesapeake City. We'll see. So last night, cruising up down the coast, we got to sail pretty much most of the evening. At some point we turned on an engine and we were motor sailing for a good bit just because the wind lightened up a bit. And then as we got towards the mouth of the Delaware Bay, we turned on both engines, took down the sails, and then we started cruising up the bay. And since we started cruising out the bay, the wind filled in just a tad from behind us, from the south. So we just pulled out the jib just to give us a little bit of extra push, but still got both engines on, just cruising up the bay. And we have another, I don't know, probably 20 something miles to go till the C&D Canal. And then we'll have a favorable current in the C&D Canal as soon as we get there, so then we'll probably cruise to Chesapeake City. So we'll be doing that during dark. So we'll be doing that while it's dark out, but that's alright. And then we'll hopefully either get on the free public dock in Chesapeake City or anchor in the little basin there. Hopefully there's a spot for us. And then tomorrow, continue on. Luckily, nothing very eventful last night, just a bunch of boats that we were avoiding, that you were dodging a few boats too. God bless you.
Cruise ships and cargo ships coming out of, I think, what, New York City?
Yeah, in and out of New York City mostly. And we were cruising really quick all day yesterday. Sailing fast. I think our bottom is super clean from the work we just did up at Hinckley, just cleaning the bottom and new bottom paint and everything. And we're a bit light right now, kind of light on water and fuel. So yeah, we were sailing fast. We had plenty of wind too. Not another boat in sight. It smells so good. What do you make it?
Can't tell you. Oh.
Secret? Look at the lighthouse.
So pretty.
We got boats passing us. Here's one right now. It's like maybe some sort of motor yacht, maybe a Fleming. Just had a bunch of big ships and tug and barge pass us in the Delaware right before the entrance here. But now we're in the C&D Canal. Hopefully we don't have any big commercial traffic passing us, because I mean, I guess it seems pretty narrow, but plenty of room for passing. But just be pretty wild if a big ship passed us. So we got just a few more miles to go till the middle of the canal where we get to Chesapeake City, and hopefully we can just anchor there for the rest of the night. We just got off the dock this morning. Last night we spent the night in Chesapeake City, and the anchorage was pretty packed. More busy than I've ever seen it before. And it was a little tough to find a spot to anchor because there was like no breeze or anything. So all the boats, you don't really know where everyone's chain and anchor road is lying. Whereas if there's a little breeze, that breeze is pulling everyone back on their anchor a little bit, and you can kind of predict where everyone's anchor is set. When it's just perfectly calm like that, everyone's stuff is just coiled like kind of around their boat, and you just don't know where everyone's anchor is sat. So in a crowded anchorage, it makes it really tough to find like a safe spot in between the other boats. And the public dock, which they have there, which can fit 2 to 3 boats, they already had 2 boats on it and not enough room for a third. But we found, like, just outside the floating public dock, there was like still a bulkhead with pilings, so we were able to tie up on that bulkhead still. So probably, I don't think it's really meant for boats to tie up to every day, but we were able to put our fenders horizontal and tie up to the bulkhead still. So we got a dock slip for the night. It's free over there, and it worked out good. And we're on our way, and we're gonna go as far as we can today. We got a south wind that's building pretty stiff, so once we get into the open part of the Chesapeake Bay, it's gonna get windy against us. Just gonna go as far as we can until it starts to get like a little bit uncomfortable, and then we'll find anchorage protected from that south wind, and then we'll pick it up tomorrow when the wind turns out of the west, and that should be like a beam reach down the whole bay. Alright guys, we've made it. We're at the boatyard that the remaining bits of our warranty work are gonna get fixed and taken care of and resolved. The biggest one being these non-skid decks. And I'm super excited. We got a really good solution in place. Honestly, we're gonna leave the boat here. We're gonna leave it in the hands of the guys that are doing the warranty work, and yeah, we're gonna come back to it in a couple weeks and we'll see how it is. I'm excited. I'm really hopeful. This team seems like they have their stuff together. Seems like they're detail oriented. Seems like a really good product that we're gonna use to deck the boat. I think it's gonna look good. I think it's gonna be comfortable. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a really good solution. So cross your fingers. We'll show you guys as soon as we're back.